is the lovely and wonderful Valerie Russell. Valerie is from Maryland originally, and her fun fact is that she was actually mute for the first 3 years of her life and then began speaking in full sentences. Fun fact.
So that's actually a funny story that I'll tell you all. My mom dropped me on accident the first few days of my life, and I lost my breath. So she shook me, and I came back. But after that, I didn't speak. I didn't do goo goo gaga, no sounds. And so one day, I'm 3, and my mom's outside hanging up the laundry, and she hears someone go, "I want my daddy." And so she turns around and she looks, she sees me, the dog, and she's like, "I must be hearing things." And so she turns back around, keeps hanging up laundry, and I said, she heard, "I want my daddy." So she turns around and she's like, "Val, is that you?" And I said, "I want my daddy. I want my daddy." And after that, I spoke in full sentences. So it turns out my dad was in the military for 23 years. He was an accountant, and he was stationed in Korea for the first few years of my life. And I guess even at a young age, I felt this void, and I really wanted him around. So my family, they tried to fill the void. I had a brother and sister who are 14 and 16 years older than I am, and they helped raise me. My Jamaican granddad, he entertained me, telling me he'd buy me ponies one day. And my mom, who became my best friend and taught me how to love and how to give, and told me, how to work hard and that I could excel in anything if I just worked 3 times as hard as everyone else. And so eventually my dad came back, and I realized that, wow, I really love this guy. Like, he seemed to know everything, and he really fostered my curiosity. So he liked to read the encyclopedia and dictionary from cover to cover. And it seemed like there was nothing he didn't know. I mean, we played Jeopardy together, and he took me to museums. He taught me how to fly a kite and how to bowl, how to play pool, how to crack a crab shell just perfectly so you could pull the meat out cleanly, and then how to go and cook fresh crab cakes, which is a Maryland delicacy. And so I really adored him, and I lived in this perfect bubble with my family and the hard work and the knowledge, and I was unstoppable. And then one day, the bubble burst. So it was my second week of high school, and I was really excited because we had a great weekend. We had a crab fest and a pool party at my house with all my dad's coworkers. And we had just celebrated my birthday and went to my favorite Moroccan restaurant. And it was a Tuesday morning, and my mom had gone to work, and my dad and I had this routine in the morning where we'd take turns in the bathroom. And I remember this morning he got upset at me because I like to turn on the hot water and then the cold and then hot and cold back and forth until I got the tub water just right. And he yelled at me and said, "You're wasting water." And I just got so upset. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to help him find his keys this morning, which was another part of our routine. So I didn't care if he was going to be late for work. Like, how dare he yell at me? The golden child, right? So it turns out he was late, and I went ahead, got ready for school as normal. But I came downstairs, and I checked the TV before I left for school. And when I turned on the TV, I saw New York. I saw the Twin Towers, and one of them was on fire, and there was smoke all around. And I listened in shock as I heard the reporters try to figure out what was going on. Was it a bomb? Was it a missile, a plane? And as I stood watching, I saw something come out of the side of the screen and hit the second tower. And I distinctly remember hearing the reporters curse on live TV. Like, holy shit, fuck. And this really stood out to me because I was like a goody two-shoes and I didn't curse. And so, it struck me that this is really live and this is happening. And I was shocked. But this was New York. It was far away, and I had to go to school. So I walked to school. I started telling my friends what was going on, and then my teacher, told everyone to settle down. So she pushed the TV to the middle of the room. She said, "Did you guys hear what's going on in New York?" And I nodded. She turned on the TV, and my heart sunk. Tears came to my eyes because I didn't see New York. I saw the Pentagon, and it was on fire. And this was much, much closer to home. So my teacher asked, "Does anyone in here have a parent who works there?" And I was the only one who raised my hand. So she turned off the TV. She came over to me. She said, "Which parent is it?" I said, "It's my dad." So she said, "Don't worry. He's going to be fine." And I believed her. I told myself, yeah, he was late for work this morning. He probably missed it. He's probably sitting in DC traffic and, he's not there. So I tried to put it on the side of my head, go through class. And then I had the second class, and students started to be called out left and right. And eventually it was my turn to be called out for early dismissal. So I went to the front of the school. I saw my mom. I said, "What's going on, Mom? Pentagon's on fire. Have you talked to Dad?" And she said, "He's fine. He doesn't work in that part, remember? He just moved offices." And I said, "Okay." So we went on like it was a normal day. We went to get McDonald's. We got Baskin-Robbins ice cream. We went home. We watched TV. We saw all the chaos in New York and in D.C. They were evacuating people from the White House, from the Capitol, from all the government buildings. And we said, let's take a nap. And so we took a nap, and when we woke up, none of the cell phones were working, so we couldn't reach my dad. But some of our neighbors came over. They knew he worked at the Pentagon. They asked if we heard from him. My mom said, "No, he's okay. He'll be home later." But as the evening wore on, he didn't come home. So we decided to go to bed. And his co-worker's husband called and said that his wife also wasn't home, and asked my mom, had my dad come home. So my mom said, "No, but I'm sure they'll be back by morning." So it was the longest night ever. We sat in the pitch dark, and I kept waking up. It was silent, and the only light that I saw was the red numbers on the clock. And as the night kept going on, my dad, he wasn't home. And by the next morning, he wasn't home. And then it started to get crazy. Lots of people started coming to our house. All the family was there. We had to call all these hotlines, and we didn't know where he was. Is he in the hospital? What? And then the families of all the missing people were told to go to the Sheraton Hotel in Arlington, Virginia. So we went there the next day, drove past the Pentagon, and there it was just more chaos. Lots of families, lots of paperwork. There were priests and pastors and counselors and therapy dogs and food and reporters. And we stayed there for days and days. We had to keep coming back. And I didn't cry all this time. My teacher told me he was fine. My mom told me he was fine, and I believed that he was going to come home. I thought maybe he had found some space and he was hiding, and once they put the fire out, they'd just find him. Or that he was a big prankster, he was just ran away, and one day he'd just show back up. And it took 17 days after 9/11 for the soldiers to come and tell my mom that they had identified my dad. So we had a closed casket funeral. And if you had looked down the aisle at me, my mom, my brother, my sister, you'd have seen that we all had our hands on each other to hold each other down. And we didn't have to say anything to each other, but I know it was because we're stopping each other from going and opening that casket to see what was inside. But we never got that closure. And all of this time, people were always around, supporting us, our church members, our family, even my bullies came over and apologized. And after the fact, I just wanted to put it behind me. I didn't want to be known as the girl whose dad died on 9/11. And I was determined that I wouldn't let this define me. So I jumped back into school. And I think the first week back, I tried out for the drama club, and then I joined the dance team, and then the yearbook club, and then every club you can imagine I was in. I ran for president of the class, and I had to get straight A's, and I was just determined, I'm going to go to New York, I'm going to go to Columbia University, I'm going to become a doctor, and I'm going to do it all on my own merit. But I did all that. But there were always these cracks. So in high school, I went through a battle of anorexia, where I wanted to control everything so much that I kept having my meals in half, to the point where I was eating like half a nugget and half of a small fry. And I lost 30 pounds in 3 months, and everyone was very concerned. I started to engage in risky behavior because I didn't want this good girl image, and I wanted to experience danger and thrill. And then in college, I suffered from stress so bad because I got there, really wanted to get there on my own merit, and then people told me, you're only here because of affirmative action. You're taking someone else's spot. And it busted my confidence, my ego. And I was under so much stress that my hair fell out. I had to wear wigs. And I tell people that I took time off after school because I wanted to explore clinical research, but really my advisor sat me down. They told me, you can't go straight to med school. You have to take time and figure out how to deal with your stress. And so I'm really grateful for that, because I did. I had to figure out how to stop blaming myself. I had to figure out what I was passionate about and how to love myself. And so I surrounded myself with family, friends. I recently started to talk more about what happened and to talk about my dad and remember him. Do things that remind me of him. Bowl and play pool and fish, all these things. I started to write more so I could get these feelings and thoughts out and not keep them in and try to hurt myself. And I guess that's why I'm here speaking to you all tonight, because I feel like Sloan has helped me find my voice for the second time in my life. I feel like I've been mute about this for 14 years, which many of my closest friends don't even know. But I can stand here now and proudly say that I had a wonderful dad. He died in 9/11, and I miss him, and I still want him, and that's okay. Thank you.